I'm going to be showing you how to make a very pretty fairy style necklace today. If you're interested, keep watching. Hey everybody, my name's Luisa. Welcome to my channel. How are we doing today? I'm so happy you're here today. I am so excited because I'm going to be showing you how to make a very adorable fairy-like elven style necklace, and it's so whimsical and so cute. I can't wait to show you. Now before we go any further, let me remind you about the timestamps down in the description. I like to leave them there because I know my videos can get a little bit long sometimes, and so the timestamps are there in case you want to skip forward and skip to whatever portion of the video you want to watch. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider it because it helps my channel and it helps me to stay motivated to create more content for you. But anyway guys, I'm going to be using the beads from the Jessie James Beads Magical Mystery box for the month of May. And I know some of you are not familiar with that box, so I'll leave a link down below with a little bit of information. But basically, it's a bead subscription. It's really, really cool. They have the nicest beads, very unusual, very beautiful beads. And every month they come up with some kind of theme. And this month's theme is a fairy theme. The name of the box is Fairy Garden Whisper. And when I saw that name, I got an image right away about what I wanted to do. And they also include these really cute little cards inside the box. Let me show you the card they included in this month's box because it really inspired me. Isn't that a cute image? It really inspired me to make this necklace. Oh my gosh. I guess my little fairy friend came to visit. She wants to say hello. Isn't that nice of her? Isn't that cute? But anyway, I know some of you don't subscribe to that box, and maybe you do and you've run out of beads. You can still make this necklace, okay? You're just going to have to find some other beads. Now you may have to find some other alternatives for the chain because I used two types of chain. One is called a Vegas chain, which is like an enamel chain with little tiny leaves. Very adorable. I love it. And the other one is a fiber wrapped chain. The links are actually wrapped in fiber cord. And that one is also a little bit on the unusual side. They may still have it available on the Jessie James Beads website. I don't know, you can go see. But if you don't have that chain, you can always use some other type of large link chain. Anyway guys, I'm very excited about this tutorial. So without further ado, let me go ahead and turn the camera around and we'll get started. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the materials you're going to be needing. We're going to be using some of this pretty pastel pink fiber chain, and you're not going to need a whole lot. You're only going to need between 4 and 5 inches. Okay, we're going to be using some beading wire, and we're going to thread the beading wire in and out of these links. And what that's going to do is it's going to cause the chain to collapse basically. Okay. Now that will form the width of the actual focal part of the necklace. So if you want the width to be a certain length, then you're going to have to do some math. So basically, if you want a certain width, you're going to have to multiply that by 4, and that's the length of chain you're going to need to cut. I want my focal piece to be about 1 1/4 inches wide. So that means that I'm going to need a piece that's 5 inches long. Okay, so you're going to have to do some math. I'm going to be using some soft flex beading wire, and this is medium weight, and the color is a greenish color, but you can use any color you want. You can use something that's gold or something that's more on the pink side. I'm also going to be using some artistic wire, and this one is 20 gauge and it's gold colored. I'll be using some of this beautiful enamel Vegas chain, okay? And I don't know exactly how much we're going to use yet because it all depends on how long we want the necklace, but more than likely it'll be somewhere between 12 and maybe 16 or 18 inches. You'll need a clasp of some sort, and I'm going to use this pretty gold flower clasp. It's actually a box clasp, as you can see. Okay. We're going to be using a bunch of beads from this Dragonflies mix, and most of these beads are relatively on the small side. The largest ones are about 6 to 8 millimeters. but we're going to use as many as we can, and some of them are really tiny actually, and we have some charms in here as well. The nice thing about the design that we're going to make today is that it's freeform. You can do as much or as little as you want. We're going to create a bunch of little charms using some of these beads. For the charms, you'll need some head pins, and as you can see, these are some gold colored ball head pins. You're going to need some jump rings. As you can see, these are gold colored and they're 5mm approximately. And I don't recommend using jump rings that are thicker than 24 gauge or 22 gauge, as we're going to be threading it through the Vega chain loops, which are very tiny. So if you can get jump rings that are a thinner gauge, you're going to have a much easier time threading them onto that chain. We're also going to be using some crimp tubes, and these are 2x2 crimp tubes in a gold color, as you can see. Okay, now that we have everything that we need, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut a length of this beading wire, and we're going to cut a length that's approximately 8 inches long, because we want to make sure that we have plenty of length to work with and we're not struggling. You're going to need your crimp tubes, and you're also going to need 2 beads, and I'm going to pick this one here because it's so pretty. Look at this. Oh my gosh, look at the plating on this bead. It's about 8 by 6mm, and it's a rondelle shape. So we're going to use 2 of those. Here's the other one. I will be using these magical crimping pliers because I don't want to have to put a crimp cover over the crimp tube. But if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. You can use regular crimping pliers. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is thread on a tube, a crimp tube. Okay, just like that. Okay. And we're going to take the tail and thread it back through the crimp tube. Bring it down to shorten the size of this loop. Okay, you don't want it too big, but you don't want it too small either. And once you have the correct size loop, go ahead and get your pliers. Place the crimp tube right in the little divot right there. Okay, can you guys see that? Place it right in the middle, just like this, and squeeze down. Okay, this is what you end up with. Turn it on its side, place it back in the little divot, and give it another squeeze. And then continue to rotate the crimp tube, squeezing as you rotate until you get a nice round shape. Just like that, okay? Once you have your crimp done, you want to go ahead and snip off the excess. Snip it as close to the crimp as you can. And this is what you should end up with. Take a bead, thread it on. Okay? And this is what you should have. We're going to take these and put them off to the side so we can finish the other end. Now we're going to cut a length of this fiber chain. And like I said, I'm going to cut myself a length that's 5 inches long. Approximately. Okay? So here's my length. Now this part isn't difficult, but it helps if you do it a certain way. Okay, let me explain. We're going to be threading this beading wire in and out of these links. And it helps if you thread it a certain way for the entire length. Okay, so what I normally do, and I've done this with regular chain as well, not just fiber chain. What I normally do is I take my links and I hold them like this, and I hold the last 3 links in their proper orientation, okay, just like this. And then I start out by coming through the top of one of them towards the bottom and going through the next one towards the back. Let me show you again. I take the beading wire and I go down 1 link, and then I thread it through towards the back of the next link. So again, you go down 1 link and go through towards the back of the next link. Down 1 link, through towards the back of the next one. going down again and through towards the back. And we're going to do that for the entire length of this piece. So down the link and through towards the back. Down the next one and through towards the back, and make sure you hold it the correct way, and then down the final link. And this is what you should end up with, okay? There's really no right or wrong way to do this, okay? All you want to do is to shrink the size of the chain. You want to compress it, okay? So you end up with something that looks like a messy bunch of links, but each one of these links is going to serve as a connecting point for a charm. So the messier the better, okay? So don't stress too much about this part because it's actually pretty easy. So as you can see, I started with 5 inches and now my piece of chain is about 1.25 inches, which is 1/4 of the original size. So once you get to the end of that, you thread on your other bead, bring it down so it's up against the chain, okay? Thread on your tube and thread the tail back through the tube. Pull it, bring your crimp tube down so it's up against your bead. And you want that loop to be the same size as the other one on the other side, okay? Once you have the correct size loop, then just like before, you're going to crimp that tube down. Place it in the middle of your pliers, okay, and give it a squeeze. Turn it on its size and do it again, and then just keep turning until you get a nice round shape. And if you're using regular pliers, guys, you know, you don't even have to cover it with a crimp cover if you don't want to. Alright, so once you have that done, go ahead and snip off the excess. Get in as close as you can. And there's my focal piece. Pretty easy, and it's very cute. Okay, now that we have that done, we're going to have some fun. We're going to create a bunch of little dangles using as many of these beads as we can. And as you can see, some of them are silver metal and some are gold metal. I'm going to stick with the gold metal because we're going to be using this beautiful leaf link chain, Vegas chain, and as you can see, the metal is gold. So I'm going to stick with the gold today, okay? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut some wire now, and you need to decide whether you want to do wrap loops or regular loops, okay? I think I'm going to do wrap loops just because they're more secure. All right, so I'm going to cut myself lengths that are about maybe 2.5 inches long, something like that. 2.5, maybe 3, depends on the size of the beads that I use. If you're a beginner, I recommend that you cut yourself pieces that are longer versus shorter because it'll be much easier for you to make these charms, okay? So to make the charms, this is very easy, okay? You place your round nose pliers about 1/3 of the way down your wire. Give it a kink so you have a 90-degree angle. Reposition your pliers, okay? And you need to decide where on your pliers you want to place your wire. It depends on how big you want your loops. It's all personal preference. I can't really tell you where because, you know, everybody's pliers are different. Mine are tiny. These are Lindströms and they have very tiny barrels. So you're going to have to decide for yourself where you want to place your pliers, okay? Once you've done that and you've wrapped it around towards the back, take it off the pliers, grab the loop, take another set of pliers and do a couple of wraps. Now I'm not going to do too many. This is 20 gauge wire, so I really don't need that many wraps. Cut off the excess and tuck it in. Alright, so I'm going to start out by threading on one of these little 3mm beads. I think these are 2 by 3, and one of these lovely crystal rondelles, very tiny as you can see, and one of these rectangular beads. I love these. These are so different, so unique. Another one of these crystal rondelles, okay, spacer beads, and another one of these 3mm rondelles. And you're going to go ahead and place your pliers at the top of the component. Give it another kink so you have a 90-degree angle. Reposition your pliers. Okay, wrap it around the nose. Flip your pliers around and continue wrapping towards the back. Okay. Grab the loop and then wrap the tail around a couple of times. And cut off the excess. So some of these are going to have a loop at each end, and some of them are going to have a ball pin, a ball head pin. Okay, and it doesn't really matter. Like I said, you get to choose what you want to do. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to use this one bead. Okay, and I'm going to kink it, switch, wrap it around, flip my pliers around, wrap it around. Okay, now before I close it with some wraps, what I'll do now is link it to this one, to the bottom of this one. Like this. Okay, grab the loop and take the tail and wrap it around a couple of times. Snip off the excess. And tuck in whatever you see sticking out. You don't want any sharp bits, okay? So here's one component, one charm. Okay, very cute. And let me do another one with you. I think I want to use one of these beads again. These are so beautiful. And I'm going to use a butterfly. Look how cute this is. So for that, I will need some of the wire. And again, you want to place your pliers about 1/3 of the way down, something like that, maybe a little bit more than 1/3. Kink it, switch your pliers around, wrap the tail around the nose, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap towards the back. Okay? And I think what I'll do is attach this butterfly. So I'm going to find a spot on the butterfly where I can fit the wire, bring it down to the loop, and this little butterfly has a lot of little holes, so you can pretty much hook it up to wherever you want, and then go ahead and create a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess, tuck it in, take your bead, thread it through. Isn't that pretty? That's so cute. And grab the wire at the top of the bead just like this. Okay, give it a kink, wrap the wire around the nose, flip your barrel around or your pliers around, and remove your pliers. Grab the loop, and by the way, these are crimping pliers if you're wondering why I'm using these. I like to use these because they have a very thin tip and it's flat, it's not grooved there, so I can grab very easily very small loops. And I use another set to do my wraps, as you can see. And then snip off the excess and tuck in any bit that you see sticking out, okay? That is so adorable. So there's another one, and let's make another one. Again, you want to position your pliers somewhere along the length of that wire, give it a kink, wrap it around, flip it around, take it to the back, and you can close it if you want to, because we can actually use jump rings to attach all of these charms onto the focal piece, okay? Snip off the excess, tuck it in, and now I think I'm going to use one of these and maybe this clear faceted crystal, okay? And again, I'm going to do a loop, and I'm going to close it up with a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck it in. So at the bottom of this one, I think I'll use one of these pink ones. It's actually a very pale pink color. It's very difficult to see, but it is pink, and it'll pick up some of the pink in this chain. So you want to grab the wire at the top of the bead, kink it, wrap it around your nose, wrap it towards the back, and before you close it, connect it to the bottom of this one, like this. Grab a loop and give it a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck it in. Okay, so now we have 3 cute charms, and I'm going to keep building them. And let me just show you really quick what we're going to do with these. So this is the focal piece, and we're going to simply hang these from some of the links of this fiber chain, okay? So some of these are going to be long. I'm going to make some that are going to be shorter, okay? And you can choose whatever length you want and whatever combination of beads you want, okay? No rules, guys. The only rule that we have here is that you need to have fun. That is it, okay? And I wish my devices would quit dinging and donging. I'm sure you guys heard that. There's another one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video so this doesn't end up being too long, and I'm going to create some more components. As you can see, I've created a bunch of charms here, but I'm also going to add some little bits of this beautiful chain, okay? I'm going to use these as dangles as well. Again, you get to choose how you want to do it. So you can have pieces that are 1/2 inch long, 3/4 of an inch long, 1 inch long. You decide how long you want each of these pieces, okay? And you also need to decide how you want the little leaves oriented, whether you want them facing downward or whether you want them pointing upwards. It's up to you. I'm going to have mine pointing downwards, okay? I'm not going to use too many because I don't want to sacrifice too many of these little links. They're so pretty. But I do want to use at least a couple of these lengths. And to do that, I'm going to have to sacrifice one of these by cutting it, okay? Unfortunately, that's what you need to do in order to be able to use this. So you're going to have to come in here and snip off one of these loops. So in order to cut off a piece like I just did, you have to snip off one of these and sacrifice one of these. But that's okay, there's plenty there, so I don't mind. But I'm going to cut a couple of these, not too many. So here's one of them. And I might just do one that's a little bit longer this time. And they are pretty tiny, it's hard to see, but if you go in here with some flush cutters like I am, you should be able to see the little loops. Okay, so there's another one. I think I'm going to cut one more piece. Maybe I'll cut a shorter piece this time. Okay, so here's my little piece. Okay, let me show you what I have so far. There's my focal, and here are all my little dangles, and they're all different sizes, okay? And I'm simply going to hang them from this focal using some jump rings. I have some that are long and some that are short. I'm going to place the long one in the middle. Something like this. So it's going to look something like this. So before we connect them, what I would like to do is attach the rest of the necklace. And the rest of the necklace is going to be made up of this gorgeous chain. And we will need some jump rings to connect it, okay? And you also need to decide how you want the little points of the leaves to be oriented. Now I'd like the little points to be facing downward, okay? So what I'm going to do is have this side like this, and on this side they're going to be like this, okay? But it's totally up to you how you want to do it. The other thing you want to do is to decide exactly how long you want your necklace to be. Okay, I'm thinking mine's going to be about 16 inches because I want it to be like a choker style necklace. But it's completely up to you how long you want it to be. All right, so I'm going to measure myself a piece that's about 7 inches. Okay, so 7 inches on this side, 7 inches on that side. And you know, by the time you add the clasp and everything, it'll be the total length will be approximately 16 inches, including this piece here. So let's go ahead and measure 7 inches. All right, so this is where I need to cut it. So I'm going to come in here and snip off this little loop here. Can you guys see that? Let me bring it up close. This is the one that I'm going to snip right there. End up with a piece that looks like this. So now we're going to cut the other side, and you really don't need to count the links if you don't want to. It's completely up to you, okay? You can simply take your other piece and lay it side by side to figure out exactly where you want to cut it, and you don't have to count anything, okay? It can get pretty tedious counting links. So I'm going to cut mine right there. So get your flush cutters as close as you can and give that little loop a snip. Double check, make sure you have the exact amount of links on both sides. Okay, you're going to need a couple of jump rings. Take one of them, open it up, connect it to your chain like this. Okay, take your component, hook it onto your loop, and close up your jump ring. Make sure it's really closed and check it from both the top and the side, okay? Check it from all sides, and you know, sometimes I run my finger on it to make sure that it's closed, and this is what you should have. Okay, same thing on this side. Take your jump ring, Open it up. Take the other end and hook it onto the chain, okay? Hook the jump ring onto the other end of the component you made and close it up. And this actually looks really pretty just by itself like this, doesn't it? I love that. But we're not going to stop here. We're going to add these gorgeous little dangles, and we're going to be using a bunch of jump rings to add the dangles. Now I'm not too concerned about them coming off because these links here are pretty thick. Okay, so once you hook a jump ring onto that, I'm telling you it's not going to come off. So what I recommend you do is you start out by laying out your components. So arrange your components down below to get an idea of where you're going to hang them. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And simply grab a jump ring, open it up, and I like to start with a middle. So grab the longest dangle that you have and attach it to the middle of this piece somewhere. Close up your jump ring. And lay it down and just continue linking up your dangles, keeping the longest ones towards the center and the shorter ones towards the ends. Ultimately, it's completely up to you how you want to hook these up, okay? You're the master of your universe. And just make sure that it looks balanced, okay? So once you have everything connected and you're satisfied with it, now the only thing you need to do is attach the clasp, and that's very easy. You're going to go to the ends and you want to make sure that there's a loop to connect to, okay? So it looks like I'm going to have to remove this one because as you can see the little loop is snipped off at the end there. I had to snip it off to get it disconnected from the main piece. So what I'll do now is come in here with some cutters and remove this little piece here. Let me just show you because I want to end up with a little loop that I can attach my jump ring to, okay? That's important. Same thing on this side. I'm going to have to remove this piece here. So same thing, I'll come in here with some flush cutters and very carefully snip it off. So that I end up with a little loop, okay? You'll need your clasp, and this is a box clasp, and you know you can use a toggle clasp if you want to, but I don't recommend it because of the chain. I would recommend either a box clasp or a lobster claw clasp, okay? So let's go ahead and separate the two pieces, okay? Now the little jump ring that comes with this is actually a soldered jump ring, okay? In case you're wondering, that's why we're going to be using regular jump rings, okay? So we're going to open it up, thread it through the loop of your chain like this, and thread your clasp onto the jump ring like this. Close it up. So there you go, there's one piece connected, okay? So one thing that you need to check, guys, is you want to make sure that the orientation of the clasp is correct, okay? So if this is the front of the component, let me just lay it down. If that's the front, then you want the clasp to be facing the right direction, okay? You don't want the clasp to be facing backwards. So that's one thing you need to check before you attach your clasp, okay? So that looks okay, and now let's go ahead and attach the other one. I'm going to go ahead and connect it so that I can get the orientation right. Get your jump ring, hook it onto the clasp, and then hook it onto the link of your chain like this, okay, and close it up. All right, and that's it, guys. Look how cute this is. Oh my gosh, look how cute this is. This is so pretty. Tell me that's not adorable. It is so beautiful, so fairy-like. I love the butterflies. I love this chain. It's so pretty. Okay, everybody, let me go ahead and clean this up. I'm going to put this necklace on to show you what it looks like, and I'll be right back. I absolutely adore this necklace. It is so cute, so fairy-like, so elven. Let me show you. Isn't it pretty? Oh my gosh, I love it. I really do. I love this style. I know some of you may think it's a little corny, I don't know, but I think it's cute. I think it's adorable. And it's perfect for spring and even summer. It has butterflies, and butterflies usually come out in the summer. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I had a lot of fun. I hope I've given you some inspiration to make your own necklaces. Go get your beads, pull them out, have some fun, and have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.